best friends. I'm Tabby.
And I'm Caitlin, and today we are discussing the third and final book in the Kane Brothers series, A Long Time Coming by Meghan Quinn.
I literally only suggested this series simply for the last book in it. Do I like the other two? Sure, they're fine. But this one is something special.
This one was
It's
worth
something
it to me.
special.
It was worth all the bones I had to pick with book one and two. And don't get me
Yes.
wrong, there are some minor bones to pick with the third as well, but it was just, it was good.
But
It was so
the issues
cute.
that it was made up for by how funny this book was
Oh,
and
yeah.
how just absolutely real these people were.
And lovable.
And they were so relatable. And I ask for that in every book.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the Goodreads right now, and it's 4.27 stars.
Yeah, that's the highest rated one, I think, of all of them.
Yeah, that's out of like 75,000 ratings. So,
That's pretty good.
all right. Good job, Megan. So, I'm going to read for us the back of the book. Have you ever heard of a man in waiting? Yeah, neither has my best friend's soon-to-be monster-in-law. Ooh, sorry, I meant mother-in-law. Nor has she heard of the term, what the bride wants, the bride gets. With wedding planning underway and a short timeline, my best friend Leah has recruited me to help her battle the snarly beast that is Mrs. Beaver. Not scared at all, I accept the challenge as her man in waiting, aka man of honor, and take matters into my own hands. The only problem is, with every second we draw closer to the wedding, I'm starting to see my best girl in a different light. She's always been beautiful to me, but now I find myself staring a touch too long, my hand lingering for one more minute, and when she's upset, allowing her to sleep in my bed. Yeah, they did that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
before I know what's happening, it hits me like a ton of bricks. I'm in love with my best friend. Not just in love, but infatuated. No one compares to her, and nothing seems to distract me from that realization. Not the girl I try to date while I help plan Leah's wedding, not her angry fiance who thinks I'm growing too close, and not the looming deadline of her nuptials. Which means there's only one thing left for me to do: prove to Leah that I'm the one she should be with instead. But with the pressure of her engagement, the stress from her soon to be mother in law, and the breath stealing nerves running through me, I'm finding it a lot harder to claim the girl than I would like to admit. Say a little prayer for me.
Sing a little prayer for you.
What if we
Oh
just break
man.
into song, actually?
No, 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 no. We
Okay.
can't. We can't.
No, it would be too good.
Sorry, guys, not for free.
But yeah, if you guys are interested in a Patreon where we serenade you, let us know.
We're gonna go ahead and get that started after this.
What do you think? Like $2 a month? Is that too much?
Yeah, I think that's so fair and generous of us, honestly.
Exactly. Basically charity work.
We're cutting you a deal.
So what would you rate this book?
Listen, I love this book. Were the characters annoying? Yeah, they
Mhm.
were.
Yeah,
But in
but
a
in a fun
way
way.
that I felt like I was kind of looking into a mirror.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I might be annoying, I've realized.
yeah. I've come to the realization it's taken 27
I'm
years, but
insufferable.
yeah,
I
same.
am unpleasant to be around, I think.
And that's why we're best friends with each other,
Yeah, it's fine.
because no one else will be.
That being said, I did give this book a 9.2 out of 10. It was so funny, so mindless. It had no conflict really towards the end, and I love that. Just nothing but vibes.
No, I agree. I rated it highly as well. I gave it an 8.9 out of 10. I thought it was like overall like super good vibes, like you said, very funny. It didn't necessarily have the most intriguing plot of
No,
like any book, but like sometimes you just love a good like mindless rom-com, and that's what
yeah.
this was. And I loved it for that. Like it just was.
I truly felt like I was just reading someone's diary,
Oh
almost.
yeah.
Like,
Which is like, yes, this is entertaining
yeah.
and it's funny and we're all having a good time. No complaints.
And I do stand by what I said in the past couple episodes. These people are just devious. Like
Hmm.
they are just nefarious because all the people from the outside looking in on this, and I'm like, would be devastated if that happened to them in real life.
Yeah.
All the innocent bystanders that were just absolutely destroyed in the warpath that is the Kane brothers and their wives. They're putting in the devil's work here.
They honestly are. Because, like, as much as Brian sucks, he did kind of get fucked over.
Yeah, it's like, did he deserve it? In the long run, yes. But I
Yeah.
think a lot of things happened before that that I'm like, he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, we'll talk more about him when we get to him, but agreed. Let's start by talking about Breaker. I
Ooh, we never start with the main male character. I
I
love
know, but
that.
I love him the best, so I put him at the top.
Breaker was the star of this show.
Oh
I
yeah.
think Leah was the secondary character here.
Leah could have been replaced with anyone for me. Like
Yeah,
Breaker was all that mattered.
Breaker was it.
Yeah. I
Oh my
agree with
God.
you. Like we talked about this last book, but Breaker is the best brother.
Yeah,
You're right about that.
because I literally forgot the entire book that he was a billionaire until he took her
Yeah.
to Disney and was doing all that extra shit. Like, I did not think about that a single time
No,
in the
he was
entire
just
book.
chill, normal.
Because
Loved
the
him.
other ones, like, they would do things and you're like, yeah, you're rich as fuck.
And it's annoying.
Like, we get it. No, Breaker was just living his best life in a modest apartment, wearing his ratty ass t-shirts and
Yes. And that's what I look for in a billionaire.
yeah, and that's yeah,
Um,
if anyone's offering.
yeah. No, no, cut it.
I'm just kidding.
Cut the cameras. No, one thing I loved about Breaker is that I too have a Jack Skellington mug that I adore and use year round, even when it's not Halloween or
Amazing.
Christmas. Love him for that.
We'll have Halloween on Christmas, you know?
As we should. I will say that like there are so many things about him that are just like good things, but one of the best in my opinion is just like he's genuinely a good friend. At the beginning of the book, like we find out he is living in a shitty apartment just because that's what his best friend can afford and they want to be next door neighbors. And then she was so nervous to tell him about the engagement and he was like so like soft and encouraging. He was like, "No,
Yeah.
put the ring on, like I want to see." And he told her it looks beautiful even though like he could tell it
He
wasn't her
was
style.
dying inside
Well, I don't even know that. Well, he was upset because he
because
didn't
he doesn't
like
like
Brian,
Brian. Yeah.
but he wasn't like down bad yet.
No.
But he like knew it wasn't the right guy and the right ring, but he still was trying to like be like, this is happy, let's celebrate. And I thought that was so sweet.
Like it's crazy that you're not happy.
Yeah,
And you
he's
said
like,
yes.
why do you look close to tears when you're telling me this?
What's going on?
This is a red flag.
And honestly, I like both versions. I love both versions of Breaker. When that switch flipped in him, he was feral.
Mhm.
Like, did just a full 180. And I was like, whew, okay. Like,
Yeah,
I was not fully prepared for the amount that he was going to be giving us.
because we had like no indication of what he was like
No. And
romantically up to that
yeah,
point.
because Leah had not given like any additional information until he started like saying things to her. And she's like, yeah, there was only one time where I heard him through the wall, like doing this. And I'm like, hey, Leah,
Why you're holding out on
like
us?
I felt like that was important information to share beforehand.
I wish I
I'm
had that
blushing
information
at
before.
work.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, show me to me, please. He became a different person altogether. And I loved it.
Wait, but it makes you like, okay, obviously he was trying to be a friend, but like he was just hiding that inside of him that whole time. And that's crazy to me that not a single time in their 10-year friendship did he ever let that slip through even a little bit.
Yeah. No, because he said, he was like, back when we met for the first time, I did think she was hot, but then she told me she wanted to be friends. And so I was like, okay, shut it down.
Love it.
Let's go ahead and just turn that switch off.
Shoot.
And
But
he
even
did.
just like the way he would talk to her though, and like I know part of the time he was flirting, but like the things he would say and joke about, like I feel like that even changed too. And it's like that never came through even a little bit.
Nope, he
That's
had
self
it.
that is self-control.
He had that switch off. He had it. It's almost as if he repressed the original
Yeah,
attraction he felt towards her. Like he just buried it.
mad
Got to
respect.
put that away. Yeah, that is some
Mad
restraint.
respect. But where was that restraint when
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 it
he's
counted.
fucking going through it, and he was like, and everyone else was like telling him, please give this poor woman some time. She just broke off an engagement, and he was like, I don't think I can.
That is the one thing about Breaker that actually pissed me off is like, yeah, he was no longer showing restraint. And instead of just like communicating with her and being like,
Mhm.
I actually realized I'm in love with you, instead he just was like, I'm going to have sex
I'm
with
gonna
her.
say the absolute most just devious things to you, deviant things to you. And it's going to take you by surprise. And I'm going to need you to deal with that because deep
And
down, I know you believe it as well.
And I am not going to talk about any of the like emotional
Yeah.
connections. No, we're just going like the only thing I'm going to bring up now out of the blue is sexual attraction and leave you confused and wondering
Yeah.
whether I actually love you or not. I was like, Breaker, no.
Okay. So when she's like trying to sit there and think about, the way she and Brian are not intimate the way Lottie and Kelsey are with JP and Huxley.
Hmm.
And I think that's when she really starts to question, like, oh, I don't think our relationship's that good. Breaker did not have to then explain the way he likes his dick sucked. That was so, I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but that was so uncalled for.
My cheeks are bright red right
Like,
now thinking about it. That was such
um,
a surreal moment.
I feel like that was like a big breakthrough moment.
Yeah.
That really, I think, set the tone for the rest of the book.
Well, because he wasn't going to say anything at first. It was like he was holding back, and then all of a sudden, she started to get self-conscious for even bringing it up. She was like, "Oh my God, no, I crossed a line." And so he doubled down.
He's
He was
like,
like,
let's cross a
"No."
couple more.
He was like, "No, no, no, you didn't cross a line. Let me tell you something." It was like he was trying to reassure her and comfort her, but it ended up
But
crossing
my
17 more
God.
lines. That had me silenced.
Yes. I was sad.
I was sad. I was
I'm sad.
listening. My mind was open.
And yeah, never mind.
What were you gonna say?
My legs, my heart, and my mind
All of them open.
opened.
The
Um,
triple threat of openness. Now, I do
he
want to say, though, that was, it was really making me question whether I supported him or not. She was like, I'm having these genuine, like, issues with my fiance,
he's like, fuck your fiance.
but in a way that clearly was crossing a line because,
Yeah.
like, they both felt it. There was tension between them. And if Brian hadn't showed up that night, they were probably
He would
gonna
have done
fuck.
something, yeah. And
They
that
might
would
not
have
have
been
fucked, but he might have
I
like gone down
truly
on
think
her.
that would have ruined their relationship. Like if that had happened in that way, because she would have felt so fucking guilty for cheating on Brian.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she would have stopped herself for him.
No,
Um,
they were seconds from it when Brian knocked on the
and
door.
I just don't think she could have lived with herself. I think they would not have been friends anymore.
Yeah, and that's why I was
And that would
like,
have been really
Breaker,
sad.
I really did not appreciate what he was doing there. And I
And
know
it's
he was like emotions were high, but it wasn't the play.
And it's one of those things where like his brothers are idiots, but
Hmm.
they were giving genuine advice in that moment, and he just did not heed that at all.
Yeah. No,
Like
you're
they
so
were
right.
actually giving like good advice this time,
Which is
and
wild for them. And yeah, Breaker has been like the voice of reason throughout the first two books. And then all
just
of a sudden,
lost his damn mind.
boy, have you lost your mind? Because I'll help you find it.
Like went straight out the window.
Yeah.
I will say he did reel it back in though, because I thought like him balancing the best friend and also the insatiable lover was a good mix. He was so sweet in the way he like took her to Disney on their first date and wanted their first kiss to be perfect.
Yeah.
And like still like wanted to play board games with her and all this stuff. But as soon as they were done playing board games, he wanted to ravish her.
Yes. That was
Um,
perfect. That was perfect. But
that was solid.
I just wish that he had been a little more upfront about his like
Yes.
feelings for her.
Yeah.
Because I think she was like, she was seriously so confused. She was like, so now that I'm broken up with my fiance, like, is this just a friends with benefits situation? Like, she was confused, and I wish that he had just been upfront with her. But then it wouldn't have been like as interesting as a book because that
Yeah,
was kind of the back and forth at the end
that was
was
a conflict.
yeah.
That was as much conflict as we got.
Exactly. And I think the only reason I
I'll take
didn't love
it.
it is because it falls a little bit in that miscommunication vein.
Yeah,
But that tends to be like the trope that all of these books follow. So I'm
for
assuming
sure.
that's just kind of like her thing. And it's totally fine. Like obviously a lot of people love that.
If that's
Um,
your niche, then go for it, girly.
yeah. And I obviously really liked this book. So
Yeah.
that's as far as I'm gonna complain about it.
Let's talk about Leah.
Leah. Okay, her full name is so
It's
adorable.
so cute.
Ophelia Fairweatherford. I love it. It's so cute. And I
I just
freaking
know she's so cute.
I know she is because I think like the description of her, she reminded me of like Daphne from Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
Like red hair with like the purple glasses. I was like, she is giving Daphne vibes. Like
Hmm.
just cute little quirky. I was imagining kind of like a Jessica Day type fashion
Yes.
sense.
Dude, she was one of the realest characters I have ever read about because again, like sometimes it was almost like looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
There were times where I'm like, you are such a dumb bitch. And then I was like, oh no, I would do that too.
I am also a dumb bitch and
Um,
also don't really stand up for myself. I think like the worst thing that she did personally was she wasn't really being a fair friend to
no.
Breaker because like she was engaged to be married and he was trying to like be real and like set these boundaries for when she was a married woman. He was like,
Yes.
we
That's
cannot
a
be
healthy thing to do.
he was like, we cannot be codependent if you're marrying somebody, Leah. And she was like, why don't you love me?
Why?
And like was like having, and then he felt shitty, like he was doing something wrong.
Well, and I do think part of that is like she just never had a true relationship because she had a relationship with Breaker without having a relation like a intimate relationship with him. It was
Yeah.
not a physical relationship. And so like why would she need to? And I don't want to defend her or anything because no, like that was so wildly unfair to Brian. Like I can totally understand why Brian was jealous and upset because I would
Yeah.
be too.
And
Like that
then
was valid.
she got mad at him every time he brought it up. And I was like, no, girl.
And I think like the cherry on top, like the fact that she had the audacity to be like, I don't understand why you think anything would be going on between us when she admitted that she's like, I've slept in the same bed as you before. What's the big deal? I'm like, I'm sorry, but that is kind of drawing a line. Like once you started dating someone and like it got romantic and it was like moving on to the next level, you probably should not be sharing a bed with your
Yeah.
best male friend. I don't know.
I
Maybe that's
know.
just me.
No, I get it. I get it. It totally would set me as like the romantic partner on edge. I would be like,
Yes.
that's weird. And then whenever they like reassure you that nothing's going on, you'd be like, okay, am I crazy?
Like
But
it kind of
then,
feels like something's going on.
yeah, it's like if they just kept continually pushing the boundaries, I would be like, this is weird. No, it's weird.
Yes.
And I
No,
do feel
Brian,
bad for Brian in that
you
way.
were not crazy, Brian. You were
No.
so valid in those thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, and that's as much as I will defend him, but that was a legitimate
Yeah. That
um
sucked. I hated that.
reaction from him.
It's always the people like, "Oh, you don't have anything to worry about." No, you probably do.
I know, because like what
No,
happened in the rest of this book?
if you have to say that, you probably do. And I will
I
not expand any more on that.
no, seriously. And we'll have some
I will
discussion.
expand more on it.
Oh yeah, eat your words. You will be expanding on that later. So stay tuned. I did feel so bad for her though. Like whenever she learned from her future mother-in-law that Brian said she looked childish in her glasses and like basically like she felt so ugly and embarrassed and
Yes.
insecure. And I was like, Why would you ever say that about your fiance?
My
One, but
God.
two, to your freaking mom of all people? I was
Like, that
like,
is such a
oh,
betrayal.
jail. And clearly, these glasses are like a signature look for her. Like, she's worn
Yes.
them since college at least.
And it held sentimental value to her.
Yeah, like she picked them out with her mom and she felt cute in them. Like I
Yeah.
don't care what your personal style is, Brian. I don't care if you would never wear purple
Hype
glasses.
up your girl.
Hype her up. If she feels good, she feels confident. Clearly she looks good. Like Breaker says she looks good.
Yes, like
I'm sure she
confidence is
looks
so
good.
beautiful. Fuck you, Brian.
Fuck you, Brian.
God. And like, I feel like her dead parents just simply did not get enough attention. Also, that was brought up in a very weird way. Like, I feel like Breaker probably would have talked more about it since, he was her best friend and like
Mm-hmm.
probably had to console her through that. I guess if she had Brian, not as much. I felt like it was just introduced into the story at an odd time. Like they needed something for
It
her.
was what I think it was because I had this thought too. I was like, why does this matter to the plot? The reason that existed was simply to give her, to make her like desires for the wedding more like legitimate
Yeah,
because a lot of them like were tied then back to sentimental reasons. But
sure.
I don't think, in my opinion, Meghan didn't need to write that in because like it's her fucking wedding. What she
Yeah,
wants goes, and she doesn't need like a sentimental reason to want those things. But I think it
right.
was there to give her like legitimacy and to make the reader really sympathize and be like, no, like her mother-in-law's being really unfair by not allowing her to
Yeah.
have. But again, it's her wedding.
Well, and also I think if her mother was alive and the bee was treating her like that, like her mom would have curb stomped her.
True. That is a really good point.
Like no mother would ever be like, well, she means no,
No,
no.
that's a
I
really
feel like
good
her
point.
mom would have said
So her
something.
mom either had to be not in her life or dead.
Yeah, one or the other. Okay, so one of the things that I did kind of have a bone to pick about her,
Hmm.
um, she was not being a girl's girl towards Birdie.
You're so right.
She was just being so catty, and Birdie is nothing but a saint.
Yeah.
Truly a saint. Um,
Yeah.
she is doing charity work at this point. Um, and she just didn't give her the time of day. And honestly, that's because she had those unrequited feelings towards Breaker that she didn't realize she had. And she felt like Birdie was going to come between them, which was extremely unfair of her because she
Right.
was engaged.
Right.
Um, like she was in a whole ass other relationship, engaged to be married. And Birdie was just trying to find her person in life. And
Right.
she did not have to be a cunt to her like that.
No, that did piss me off. Birdie was so sweet, so kind. And let's talk about Birdie next because I want to like really give her the
Yes.
time of day that she deserves. But yeah, what Leah did was really unfair because, like you said, she was literally engaged to be married. And then whenever Breaker started dating Birdie, she was like, are you trying to replace me? Like, what? Girl, what do you mean replace you?
Like you're not his fiance. You're
Yeah.
not his girlfriend.
So that I will agree. That is like probably the most annoying thing that
Yeah.
Leah did.
I'm sorry. It does not matter how much you're confused about the situation. You need to support your fellow women.
Yeah. Especially when
She did not.
they have not done anything to
No.
deserve your cattiness.
No, it was unnecessary. Didn't love that. I feel like she should have apologized to Birdie, and we didn't get that. And I feel like that should have been in there.
That would have made it really good. But let's talk about Birdie really quick
Yeah,
because I don't have like a whole lot to say about her, but she was genuinely so sweet, so
yeah.
kind, so funny.
She was done so dirty.
She was done dirty, but I do think that
He,
Breaker was as fair
yes,
as
he handled
possible.
that in such a good way.
Yeah, because he could have gone on that hiking date and acted like everything was fine, but he was
Yeah.
like, I need to talk to you. The truth is, I'm in love with someone else. And she was like, oh, yeah, your best friend. I
She's like,
know.
I knew that.
And he
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, how'd you know? And she was like, anyone with eyes can see.
I thought it was so real and so good of her to be like, do you want to talk about it?
Hmm.
Like I'm here. She's like, even if it didn't work out, like I still enjoyed like your company.
Yeah.
She's like, so let's just talk about
And
it.
then they just hung out. They went on their little hike.
Yeah.
They talked it through. She was a girl's girl, I'll tell
And
you that
Leah had the
much.
audacity to be jealous of that.
When Birdie did
Trash.
her a fucking solid in the
Yeah,
end.
like you're welcome. You
I
wouldn't be
want
here if it wasn't for Birdie.
I want the book between Birdie and the baseball player. Do you think that exists? We should look that up.
I bet she's writing it. It's either been written or it's in progress.
Yeah, I
Because
want that.
I need to read Birdie's story.
Birdie deserves the world, and that's all
And
I'll say about
that's
her.
that.
And the pussy cakes.
Dude, okay. I won't lie. I was like, if they say it one more time, I'm going to put the book down.
We did beat a dead horse, but it was
We
funny at first.
beat it back to life and then killed it again.
Yeah, it was funny at first.
Enough. That's enough.
You know what it reminds me of is In Love Theoretically, the cheese.
Yes, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like
Yeah,
get off of it.
like
There's got to
again,
be other things that you have.
again, it's funny at first, but you're just actually pissing me off at this
Yeah,
point.
it's like at this point, I think you should see a therapist.
Yeah.
Maybe you have an unhealthy relationship.
So yeah, same energy, but still
Yes,
fine. Whatever.
it's fine. I'll forgive her.
Let's talk about Brian.
Oh, Brian.
Brian Beaver.
Brian, aka Glenn Powell, because that's the only person I could picture the
So
entire
real.
time.
Glenn Powell is
He
is
plays the
the
villain
rom-com villain.
love interest in every rom-com, and
Yeah.
he would eat this role. Like he would kill it.
Oh yeah. Because imagine him being like a little mommy's boy at dinner.
Yes,
He's like, "Oh, mother."
he would absolutely kill this role.
Yeah, he would.
Because I mean, Brian is probably a very good-looking man. Like that's why Leah was so interested in the first place. He was very good-looking, he
And
was
he's
very
got money.
successful, and like he seemed like a decent dude if he didn't have all this other shit going on. Like he probably was okay to hang out with, and I kind of feel like that's how Glenn Powell is in real life.
Yeah. He just really pissed me off because of how shitty he was toward his partner.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the worst thing about him. Like, he didn't
Yeah,
do anything bad. He just wasn't a good fiance.
he just wasn't supportive, and his
Yeah.
mom is Satan.
His mom is genuinely a bad person, but he is not. He
And
just is
honestly,
not a good
like
fiance.
because she's so terrible, he was set up for failure in
Yeah,
life.
imagine
Like
that being your mother.
there
Like, you
was just
felt bad for
no
Leah.
way.
Let's feel bad for Brian because he grew up with that.
That's abusive.
Yes, his mom fucking sucks.
You know, I truly do hope Brian gets his life figured out. At the very end, I felt like he was being very like self-reflective and like transparent about what like his thought process was, and I can appreciate that. He's like, yeah, I'm a workaholic. I'm not attentive. He's like, I literally think in terms of how is this going to make me a better person, like a better person than other people. And so I think he could probably really benefit from a good therapist,
I think
and
so
that would do
too.
wonders.
Because clearly there's some deep-rooted shit with his mom. And I can only imagine if it's like that with his mom, I have no clue what his relationship would be like with his dad. Probably worse.
Yes. I genuinely hope this was a learning experience for him, though, and that he chooses to not bring another person into that until he can sort his shit out.
Yeah, until he can stand up to his freaking bitch ass beef of a
Stand
mother.
up, Brian.
Brian, get off the ground. Yeah, he's fine. Like, obviously not a good fiance, but he's fine. He's not like a horrible person.
No. Again, I did feel bad for what was done to him initially. He
I,
didn't deserve that.
I did too.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah, let's add to that really quick in defense of Brian.
he was right. Brian was right.
And at the end, she was like, whenever she was getting that closure with him, she was like, I'm actually seeing someone. He was like, yeah, is it Bricker?
No shit. He was like, I bet within 24 hours. And it's like, no, Brian, it was actually
It,
12
it was less.
the same night.
Brian,
Brian,
I'm
you could
sorry.
not have been more right, my guy. Every
Brian.
fear that he's ever had
He was
was
like,
valid.
yeah, and no matter like, yes, I get it. She did not physically like cheat on him when they were together, but like
She did emotionally,
it
though.
was there. Yeah, it was there. It was
Because
teetering.
that night in bed, I truly think that when she asked Breaker to hold her and he kind of like stuck his hands in like her underwear, like if he had continued with that, she would have let it happen.
Yes, and
Same
same
thing.
with the like talking through
Yeah,
like the oral, like that would have turned into something if Brian hadn't
she
showed
would
up.
have let it happen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Enthusiastically. And
Yeah.
I get it. I get it, girl.
I do get it. But also you're a monster.
But also you are,
That's
and
wrong.
you know what? That just goes to show that her and Brian not meant to be a couple. Because
But
they,
don't disrespect Brian like that.
yeah, don't. I agree. They both disrespected each other in different
They did.
ways. They just were not meant to be. And
They were
that's
so
okay.
not meant to
So
be.
not meant to be. And you know
Just
what?
so not meant
And
to
the thing
be.
between her and Breaker, it was just a long time coming.
That's right.
Let's talk about the
Gross.
beef.
Oh my God. Like, I have read some sick and twisted books, and the villains have not held a candle to the beef.
The beef is a worse villain than the Darkling.
Yeah, because he was misunderstood.
He
She
was
is
misunderstood.
evil
He just cared about his family,
too
his
much.
chosen family. And she cares about no one but herself.
She doesn't even like her son.
She's like, Brian, you're a disappointment to the family. You're marrying some no-name bitch.
That kid's not going to be president, Brian. God.
Yeah. Nothing can redeem her in my eyes.
She deserved every unfortunate event that happened to her.
Oh my
Um,
God.
every single one of them.
Those were so
When the
funny.
veil caught on fire, I levitated out of my body with like stress hives.
Yeah. I wanted to like crawl out of my skin.
I had never been so embarrassed for a fake person in my life.
And not only the fact that she set it on fire, but then she was like, Breaker, help! And he's like, roll!
Like, you dumb bitch.
And she was just running around as the fire was quickly
It's
approaching her
gonna
head.
get me.
And he had to douse her with the bowl of holy water.
Oh my God. Then when she became religious for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, she was like, oh my God, I've been
Oh my
baptized.
God. That killed me.
That was such a funny scene.
Holy shit.
And
And when
then
she
the paper
smacked her
cut.
in the boob.
Oh my God. That was
Yeah, the
so
paper cut
rough.
was so uncalled for.
The paper cut's wild because I'm like, how much were you bleeding to be able to
She's
flick a
anemic.
drop of blood?
I
Yeah, good
thought he was
Lord.
kidding. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, and she's also wildly anemic. She'll pass out. And it's like, oh yeah, good one, Breaker.
No, no,
She did.
no. She'll pass out.
And she's also gonna bleed a bucket from a paper cut.
That's embarrassing, Leah. Get your shit together.
God, Leah, take some medicine. Jesus.
Take
Have
some
some
iron
iron.
supplements.
But yeah, I won't give the Beeve any more of my time or thoughts because
She doesn't deserve it.
what a dusty cunt, like truly.
Derogatory.
Derogatory.
Yeah, let's talk about Lottie and Huxley really quick because they were in
Ugh,
this book,
God.
unfortunately.
They just keep bringing her back.
They are so annoying, but I would expect
They're
nothing
so
less from them at this
disgusting.
point. I know. I literally
Like,
know.
God.
I did think JP and Kelsey were like cute though.
Listen, JP is just so funny.
I
He's
love
just so
him.
funny. His one-liners, amazing.
Yeah. And up until I read this book of Breakers, like, yeah, JP would have been my favorite. He's hilarious. He's great. But Breaker just is a little tiny bit higher.
And it cracks me up that he is so infatuated with his wife. He loves her so much. But she started acting like a fucking monster when she was pregnant. And he was like, I need to come stay with you.
He's
Who
like, I'm
is this
actually
crazy woman?
scared of my wife a little bit. Just a little.
Like a little, because Kelsey's just supposed to be like this nice and charming. Well, we know she's not, though.
We saw the
We
other
know
side
she's
of her.
not.
Yeah, she needs to relax.
But yeah,
It
I did
was
appreciate.
also cute though they brought up Kazoo some more. Like his
Yes.
love of Kazoo. He seems to still have a relationship with Kazoo.
When he was trying to think of Kazoo's name, like to distract himself from getting a boner.
That was so funny. Clementine?
Clementine? I loved the knitting club of all the women.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna talk too much about Maya and Riot because I don't know anything about them. I have not
Hmm.
read their book. I might because I'm intrigued,
Yeah,
but I loved like just the community that they built with all the girls.
that
Um,
was cute.
and for once in my whole time reading this, I didn't care that they were talking about the gross things they do with each other's
Because it
husbands.
felt like it had a place.
Like she needed to hear that to
Yeah.
know that she was not being treated the way she should be being treated.
Yes, and it also just like that is something that would happen. Like you would have a knitting club with your
Mhm.
girls and that subject would come up. Like
Yes.
it felt more organic than it had in the other books. So I did like it for that reason.
And I loved how much like Kelsey and Lottie were like, we need to know more about Breaker because no one knows anything about him. Like,
Yeah.
please tell me more. We've heard these insane stories of him just being
Although that is a little sus of them. They're always being a little sus
they like
with the brothers that aren't their respective
they want
partners.
to sleep with all the brothers,
And
I
that's
think.
uncool.
And like the fact that they now all are neighbors to each other, it's like,
No.
okay,
Whoa,
what's happening
whoa.
here?
No, because hold on. Because I have something to say. Because I'm
Let me tell you something.
worried that Megan Quinn wants us to think that because she wrote a universe where there is supernatural fanfic that
Brothers are lovers.
Leah wrote that the brothers are lovers. And I don't like that.
Yeah. I don't think that would ever happen. Megan, you crazy kooky girl. Like, what the fuck is that about?
And then Breaker was like, no, I get it. I read all of it. And I was like, no,
No, Breaker, you have two
Breaker, you
brothers.
have brothers. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Sorry.
they're not gonna sleep with each other. In my mind, that didn't happen. We didn't have that conversation. I already blocked it out.
Anyways, that kind of wraps up our character discussion, and we can kind of move on to some of the other elements of the book now that brought
You
us joy.
know, really quick, who was not mentioned in this
Oh, who?
book? Ellie and Dave. Well,
Oh, where were they?
I think
Why
that's
didn't
more
they?
Lottie's friend, but
Oh, but Ellie should have gone to the
she should have
knitting
been in the knit
club.
club. Yes. Why was she
Oh,
not invited to brunch?
yeah. Oh my God. You know what? Maybe her and Dave are like traveling right now,
Yeah, the world with their baby. Yeah,
living
for
their best
sure.
life.
I
They
choose to
didn't
believe
get
that.
forgotten.
They forgot about Ellie and
No.
Dave.
Oh my God. Okay.
Anyway,
I want to talk about the Secret Scrabble Society, the SSS,
which
because
seems almost like it's one letter off from being really bad.
oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh my
you know,
God. Okay, actually did not notice that. So that's silly of
I
me.
didn't like that.
That could not have been intentional.
No, it wasn't.
But I just like am having a hard time believing there's so many Scrabble enthusiasts in one dorm.
Did they even play Scrabble like in the book
Yeah.
after the prologue?
Oh, no,
No.
not after the prologue.
Like they
They
did
played
not
other
play.
games, but not
Yeah.
Scrabble. That is weird. And oversight.
It's like, what the fuck's plunder?
I don't
What about
know.
Scrabble?
I don't know what plunder is and I don't know what password is.
I think they just needed like the absolute kookiest and nerdiest like meet cute they could possibly have to the point where it's like this makes sense. This would happen somewhere at some college, yeah, for sure.
And it was cute. It reminded me of like Allie Hazelwood's books.
Yeah, it did. We were so close to a STEMinist novella.
Yeah, but then it kind of derailed.
Yeah, it did. She didn't really, she wasn't nerdy. Like they were nerdy, but like as they grew up, I feel like they lost a little bit of that.
Yeah, and I don't think that happens in real life. Like if you have those like enthusiastic nerdy hobbies in college, probably the older you get and the more money you get and the more free time you have, you're probably going to do more of those things. And I know they still did play like board games together and game shows, but
Yeah.
like what happened to like the love of Lord of the Rings, you know? Like I feel like we kind of lost that a little bit.
Yeah, his limited edition Lord of the
Yeah. And
Rings.
he had like his oh, I don't know what it was, something Star Wars related, like in storage. I was like, no, he's a billionaire and he would have that proudly
Like
displayed.
He's choosing to live in this shit ass apartment. Like,
Yeah. Like he would have his trinkets out. That was a little
for sure.
unrealistic, in my
Like,
opinion.
you're keeping an heirloom in a storage container?
I kind of feel like Meghan herself must not be a nerd. She doesn't get it. Meghan, you're trying to like appropriate our
Stop.
culture,
Quit
and I
it.
don't appreciate it.
I won't lie though, the prologue about lost me.
It was
There were just
actually,
too many things happening. So, first of all, the whole Secret Scrabble Society, whack. Hated that.
mhm.
Whatever. We moved past it. The supernatural fanfic. Wow, you're really throwing some shit at me in the first
Didn't
20
like
pages.
that.
Holy shit, Megan. Like, chill out, okay? But then,
Hmm.
like, Breaker was like, yeah, sometimes I pee sitting down. Like, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, how much more can we take in this
And
prologue?
the fact that she kept like bringing up the fact that he has like a pervy mustache.
Yes.
I was like, ew.
Like, this isn't winning me over.
No, it really wasn't.
It's really setting a tone for me, and it's not a good one.
It started with the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know what I'm saying? And was like, if you enjoy, keep reading. And then it completely toned it down for the rest of the
Yeah,
book.
and it's like, just kidding, we're actually not doing that anymore. But you know what it made me think of? Like how I pictured Breaker for the first out of like 5 chapters. You know, the youngest brother from AJR that kind of looks a little bit like a Muppet?
Now, hold on, let me Google.
That's what I pictured.
I don't know which one's the
With the
youngest.
glasses.
Oh, oh.
Like,
Well, I should have known when you said it kind of looks like a Muppet.
he looks like a Muppet. And I don't know why, but I couldn't look past that.
Yeah, I choose to believe he's hotter than that. But
No, he is hotter than
in
that.
college, he might
But
have looked
like
like
the
that.
college persona she was drawing for me, I was like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's him.
No, I bet he did look like that in college. And that's why Leah was like, let's be friends.
She's like, this is manageable. And as he got older, he just turned into like a sex god.
Yeah. But meanwhile, Leah was just a smoke show the whole time. And she
Yeah,
was
she's
like,
just a little
oh,
hottie.
she was like, oh, you know what? I see it now.
Okay. It was the mustache. It was really throwing me off.
Also, I thought, okay, so one of the cute things that came from like the Scrabble lore is her nickname for him is Pickle.
Pickle.
Which I thought was just so cute. I loved it so much, but it's because like
Pickle of honor.
the pickle of honor, Pickle Cane, and it's because they were like playing Scrabble and he was like really exhausted and misspelled pickle.
Like of all the words.
Oh my God. But I just thought that that nickname was super cute. And I was super excited to like hear the lore because like it got
Yeah.
introduced and it was so natural. You know, she's like, oh, she just calls him Pickle. And then eventually it's like, oh yeah, it's a really funny story. And it had to do
It
with like
was
their
really
college days.
cute.
Yeah. So that was wholesome. Loved it.
I absolutely adored it anytime he called her Ophelia. And it was just so nice because she would talk about when Brian would call her Ophelia and how he did it because his mom hated her nickname.
Hmm.
And so he did it to make her sound like better in quotations.
Sophisticated.
Yeah. But Breaker did it because he used that as like a very like intimate thing between them. Like even when they were friends, like he called her Ophelia when he was like feeling like big feelings.
Yeah.
And then like it later turned into he would call her Ophelia when he wanted to like overpower not overpower her, but like be in control of the situation or like show that he was like dominating the scene kind of. And I don't know, I loved it when he called her Ophelia. Their friendship truly was just so wholesome though. Like
It
it
was.
really was.
Oh my God. Like, okay. One of my favorite things in the entire book was the wall tapping that they did, where
Yes.
one person would tap 4 times, the other would tap three, and it was like LOVEYOU. And the way that that was used later,
The one time where he spelled it out completely on
the
his own, I
entire
was like,
thing. But
shut
it
the
was,
fuck
he
up.
did like an extra one. He did, I love you.
Yes.
And she was like just laying in bed,
Excuse
her
me?
eyes wide open. That was
It was so subtle,
that was good writing, Megan.
but so beautiful. And like it was just small things that he would do for her too, like stocking her favorite coffee. Like making sure he had all of her favorite foods, or like when she had a shitty day, like getting her something that she enjoyed. Just
Yeah.
stuff like that. And he remembered every single thing about her, every small detail that even she did not remember saying. And she
Yeah.
was like, holy shit, like, how do you know that? And he's
And
like,
then
I pay attention to you.
he really does. And it wasn't even like with the intent of trying to win her over romantically. That was just
No,
genuinely him being a good friend.
like a very attentive person.
And he also like when they got in a fight and she was like, "Don't bother coming to the wedding dress shopping." He
You
was
know he
like,
was gonna show up.
"She doesn't really mean that. I will be there because she needs me." And
Yes.
it meant the world to her.
And that was the biggest turning point in the book.
Yeah,
Like
it
that
was
was a critical chapter.
turns out it was the best decision he ever made.
Like he was able to move forward with his life as he knew it after that. There were just, I don't know, too many parts to count that made me laugh out loud. But I do think the funniest part was his internal monologue when he realizes that he is in love with her. Like the fucking turmoil that he was going through.
When she's like, "Breaker, will you hold me? I'm just so sad."
He's like, holy shit, what?
And he's like, "No, no, no, no."
Or when she like scooted up close to me, he's like, whoa there, whoa. Save some room for Jesus right now. What
And
the
whenever
fuck?
he saw her bra hanging in the bathroom, because like clearly she's going to sleep, she's not going to have her bra on. And he's being all weird about it. And she's like, "Breaker, I've hung my bra there before. Like, why are you panicking?" And he's like, "Have you?"
He's like, you mean your tits are just loose and wild right now?
Oh my God, that is exactly what he said. And it cracked me up.
He's like, those things are just banging in the open as we speak.
As we speak, they are just loosey goosey. Yeah, he was so freaking funny during that scene. And like we mentioned earlier, he was like trying to distract himself, trying to like not get a boner. So he was like, what is in his mind? He's like, what's the name of JP's pigeon? And then he
Clementine?
accidentally says out loud, Clementine. And that is one of the funniest moments in the whole book. Oh my God, so good.
Yes,
Um,
just like the inner
Chef's
monologue the whole
kiss.
time. I don't know. I couldn't, I loved it.
So funny.
I think it's so funny that the entire book, like the last two books, like they, like you said, use Breaker just as kind of a sounding board and like the voice of reason. The whole time knowing that he just like fucks like a god.
Yeah. Why do they
Like
know that about
they
him?
just know. Well, it would be JP too that gets stuck in a hotel or a penthouse with him. Like
Oh yeah,
Breaker's
I
just
forgot.
going to town. I can imagine JP just like under his covers, like eyes wide, like so scared. Like JP was probably crying.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
the siblings in these books are too close,
And
I
like
fear.
when Huxley was like giving him advice, he's like, we all know that you know how to fuck. Like, okay, so how about you just go do it?
Huxley's like, I really don't want to like give you a big ego or anything, but
But we
like,
know you know what you're doing.
oh my God.
One of the complaints I do have, and I touched on this a little bit earlier. There were multiple times, and we talked about this with being unafraid of Brian, that like truly it did cross a line into the cheating territory. And I actually took like a screenshot of like one of the things he says.
Oh, you brought
Um,
receipts.
I did because like I don't know, it was just weird to me. Like I didn't like it. It didn't sit
No, I
right with
agree.
me.
I'm sure I agree.
Um, so she like backs up into him while they're spooning in bed. I think that's what like triggered this whole thing. Is that it was totally normal. She's like, "Can I stay here?" Yeah, in the guest room. Absolutely, you can. Like
Yeah.
you're sad and lonely. Sleep in the guest room. She's like, "No, no, no. I want to sleep in the same bed as you." And it's like,
And
okay.
that even could have been fine because it's like a massive king size bed.
But you took all like you were completely naked under that t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like that was weird. Okay, girl, like keep your pants on.
Yeah,
Like,
at least put pants on.
but then she's like, I need you to hold me.
And
And
that's
it's
where
like,
you lost me.
okay, you lost me there because that's inappropriate. And even Breaker was like, have you lost your fucking mind?
Yeah.
No, because he was also fighting for his life at this
Yeah.
point. Like,
He was like trying not to
um,
be like lose his soul to the fiery pits of hell.
And at one point in time, because Breaker is a good guy.
Yeah.
At the base of his being, he's a good guy. And he says, "Do you think Brian would like to know that I held you at night?" And she's at night, and he said, or she said, "I don't know." And he said, "Yes, you do. He would hate it." And she says, "It's not like it matters. I'm not cheating on him." And it's like, so you knew that he wouldn't like it, and
Yeah.
that it would come across that way. And at that point, I do think she had some inkling
Oh yeah.
because she found comfort in him in physical touch. And that's where they lost me all the way because I was like, no, that's fucked up.
No, 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 it is. And we talked about already like how things up to this point, like, yeah, no physical boundaries had been crossed yet.
No.
But the emotional boundaries sure had been pushed time and time again this entire relationship
Yeah.
that she was with Brian. And Brian, that's why he was uncomfortable
Yeah.
because he could see that. And then we at some point in the book, and it's when Breaker realizes he's in love with her.
Yeah.
And I get it. He's like, I'm in love with her. I don't want to lose her to like this dipshit Brian. I get it where he's coming from. But like
Mm-hmm. You got
at
to
a
go about
certain
it the right
point,
way.
yeah, at a certain point, we just need to voice our feelings and be heard.
Instead of physically pursuing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because like he should have just been like, and again, this would not have made for a good book. I
No.
understand that. But like, let us be so clear in real life, if you're ever in this situation, you need to sit your
You,
friend down and you need to say,
this is not
I
appropriate.
have yeah, but I'm thinking of the one who's like in love.
Oh,
Like, so
okay.
I'm
Okay.
saying like you need to sit your friend down and be like, I have discovered that I have these feelings for you. And you know what? If they don't return those feelings,
Whatever.
you shot your shot, you know?
You
Because
lived your truest life.
it wasn't going to be a healthy friendship from that point forward
No.
anyway.
He was just constantly going to be towing that line.
Yeah.
And
And
eventually they would have fucked up.
imagine, yeah, like if she had gotten married to Brian and none of this had ever been like put out in the open and it was just like being stewed upon, like she would have ended up cheating on Brian after they were married. And that would have been like even worse.
Yeah, it was for the, and she did, like, to be fair, she did break up with Brian shortly after that.
Yes.
And so I do think that was like a big moment for her where she was like, okay, like, I don't think, like, if I feel this way just from my friend, like, holding me at night, like, clearly I am not getting what I need out of this relationship.
Or my friend talking about how he prefers his blowjobs to be
And
performed.
how he likes to go down on women. Like,
Yeah. That I think that was worse than the sleeping thing, like hold me at night.
where every time he's like, well, if you were my wife, and she's like, what?
Yeah. Oh my God, that really did
Pardon?
happen too much. And she was like, now, did he mean to say that?
He's like,
Yes.
well, if I were the one fucking you, I was like, oh,
Good heavens.
okay.
Like, I liked it, but
I loved
I
it. Don't
didn't.
get me wrong, but it was wrong.
It was wrong. I have a tiny little like thing to add, like complaints wise.
Yeah.
I know we talked about how the knitting club was cute and that was a good setting for like the things to come up about how she had like a shitty sex life with Brian. But
Yeah.
I did find myself after that first one, because then she had a couple more like knitting club meetings. I did kind of like get bored.
Yeah.
And I
Like
was
you're
like, this
kind
is
of
just
trauma dumping on these women.
yeah, I was just like, this is just a little like I could have done without it, but that's just a minor complaint of mine. I was like skimming a little bit.
I also thought it was really weird that out of all the people she texted Maya, like when she was like, hey, what should I do about this situation? I feel like I need closure
Yeah,
with Breaker. Like, that's a stranger.
but she doesn't have any girlfriends. The only friend she has is Breaker.
Yeah.
So it was
I
just
don't know.
weird.
It's just weird that she didn't choose like Lottie or Kelsey.
I know,
I guess they did also just find out that they're pregnant. That was why, because she didn't want to bother them because they just found out they're pregnant.
but
I don't
still.
remember. Whatever. They would
Which,
have been
by the way,
fine.
that is so cute that they're pregnant at the same
So
time.
cute.
Yeah, like because that would be so fun to like go through with your sister. I
But
love that.
altogether, a fantastic book.
It
So
was.
good.
And like the miscommunications in this book were like
Minimal.
small. And
Yeah,
so just as someone who doesn't like the miscommunication trope, I loved that.
for sure. As always, we're gonna do some discussion questions. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, okay. So my question to you is, If we had the chance to be next door neighbors like Breaker and Leah, do you think we would drive our husbands absolutely
Yeah.
bonkers?
Yeah. No, they would. I don't think they would hate that because I feel like we're pretty like content at entertaining ourselves. Um, but I do think we would always be at each other's homes,
Yeah, it
like
would just be back and forth, back and
constantly.
forth. And like, I guess our
Yeah.
husbands are also brothers, so they might actually hang out every
Yeah.
once in a while with each
It's
other.
like, they like each other. It's not like they hate each
Uh,
other.
but what kind of activities do you think we'd get up to?
I think we get really into like making TikTok videos.
Oh my God,
Uh,
yes, which we need to start doing anyway.
and then I think we would probably get really deep into crafting.
Yes.
Probably. But I also think we would have some really cool, just like reading days. Like, have you seen the people who make like the giant mega couches and like get snacks and drinks and stuff for the day?
And do the
Um,
readathon.
yeah, I think we would have readathons all the time,
We
and
would have like readathon
definitely,
Sundays.
we'd definitely be getting our hot girl walks in for
Oh yeah.
sure.
Oh my
We
God.
would be
Oh,
so healthy.
can we live next to each other,
I'm
please?
working on it.
I want it so bad.
I want to go
Yes.
back.
Okay, hot girl walks. What else? Readathons.
Readathons, crafting. I feel like we'd be treating ourselves to like little cocktails at bars constantly as well. Because I just don't feel like I have anybody who understands like the necessity of a good like happy hour drink, like a
Yeah.
little treat.
Yes.
There's nothing I love more than going out to a restaurant and having like a drink and a little appetizer.
We are
Nothing
little treat girlies.
Nothing healthy, nothing full like filling. It's not a
Yeah.
meal. No, no,
No,
no.
mozzarella sticks,
Yeah, yeah.
perhaps.
I want a little drink
Pretzels.
and a little treat.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's
The
what we'd be doing.
sugariest drink ever. You know what
Mhm.
else I'll add to that? I
Yeah,
think we
yeah.
would also have just like our little routine. I think we would do like, if not every other night, like alternating like dinners back and forth at each other's place.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
we would at least like do
Like a
like
weekly.
every few days.
Yeah,
Like, okay, you guys cook this night and we'll
yeah.
come over and then we'll cook for everyone this night and then back. And I think it would be a little treat.
I think it'd be really wonderful. But the best thing about it all is that we would be able to record in the same room
In
for our
the same
podcast.
room. We would be in the same room for you all. And you would feel the energy. The
You
energy's
would.
different.
The energy would be immaculate
You
because
know,
we can read each other so well.
yeah.
And I feel like it's even better when we're sitting right next to each other.
Yes, because online there's a little bit of a delay. You know,
There is.
the internet
Mhm.
has to carry us to each other. Like, isn't that crazy? The internet is
Mhm.
carrying us to each other right
Yeah,
now.
like
That's
that's insane.
profound. Oh my God. No, but we have
We're
some
drunk right now,
episodes.
also.
Yeah. Can you tell?
By the way,
I just want to know. Can you guys tell when we're drinking? Because sometimes we are, sometimes we aren't.
I feel like our voices get really squeaky.
We sound like little
Yeah.
mice recording. But no, there for real, there are some episodes where we record in the same room, and we will announce at the top of the episode if we are. And
Because
you guys
the
can
world
probably feel
deserves
the
to
energy.
know.
Yeah, because we want you guys to get freaking hype with
Get
us.
pumped.
And when you're listening to it, you're like, yeah, I'm in that same room right now too.
Yeah. And that's
Fuck
what we
yeah.
want from this. Like, it's just some best friends gabbing and yapping away.
Oh my God, the queens of Yap.
We're yappers.
The Yapstreet boys, if you will.
But yeah, that's what I would do if we were neighbors. In
long,
conclusion.
long story short.
Anyway, this is the longest we've ever been apart, is the 6 years that I've lived here in Kentucky. Prior to that, we spent 10 great years of our lives seeing each other every single day.
There were like, because again, Tabby and I, before we were sister-in-laws, we were
We've
best
known each
friends.
other a very long time.
Ah, and it's
Actually,
been amazing.
15 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Shut up. That's
a long
crazy.
time.
That's a really long time. We're so old. We're so
I
ancient.
know.
Since middle school.
Isn't that nuts?
That's really nuts. That's crazy. And it makes me feel old. But like there would be summers when I would just go like every single day. I was at Tabby's parents' house in her
She
basement.
slept there for like 2 weeks one time.
Yeah, and because my parents didn't care about me, I was neglected. Just Just kidding.
Anyway,
Um,
she's for legal reasons.
for
No,
legal
she
reasons,
wasn't.
that's a joke. All
But
right.
yeah, no, I don't think we drive our husbands insane. I think they get it. I think they'd be thankful for that
I think they
because
would like it.
then it's like we would not be just up their asses constantly
Yeah.
for entertainment. We would have each other.
Yes, because I will admit, okay, I can.
They just don't get it.
No, they don't. And the thing is, I can entertain myself, but I am also very needy.
I'm codependent.
Yeah. So I think ultimately it would just like increase everyone's quality of life.
Yeah, it'd be for the best.
Yeah. And one more thing to add,
And also,
and also, not that I have to convince all of you that this is a great plan, but many cultures outside of the US, it is common for like extended families to like live
oh
together
yeah,
in one home. And so like
that's my
that would just
dream.
be us. We would just be siblings like living not together
Not in the
together
same house, I don't
because I
think,
do
but
want a
I
little bit
do
of privacy.
cherish my personal space.
Yes, we would need because we need, like we've talked about before on previous episodes with the Kane Brothers series, don't want to live in the same house.
No, no, no.
Not the
Across the
exact same house.
street is great. That's
Next
great.
door neighbors. That's perfect.
All right, we're healthy. My question is, well, it's not really a question. I want your vibes on this one, your
Okay,
thoughts and feelings.
I'm ready.
So, I feel like the past few books actually that we've read a few this year where there's best friends that have turned lovers.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first one, it was people you meet on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Poppy and Alex, who are college best friends who do decide they are in love with each other. We read um oh God, what's it called?
Funny story.
Funny Story, where Petra and Peter realize they are in love with each other after growing up as best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've read this one now where they are college best friends who have fallen in love with each other. But along the way, they have again just left relationships in the fucking dust. They have innocent bystanders that have been just absolutely crushed. I'm looking at you, Poppy and Alex, because she didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
What was her name? Sarah? Something like that.
Yeah, I think it was Sarah.
Yeah, she didn't deserve that.
Justice for Sarah.
But yeah, so really, like, what are your thoughts and feelings towards like the male, female, like friendships?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you feel like typically they do end up in like a romantic situation? Or like I know there are some where truly they are just friends, it's very
Yeah.
platonic, but I feel like recently, and like you see it in social media as well, like it's I don't know if that's the case often.
Yeah. I feel like this is so hard because like people who do genuinely just have platonic feelings for their like friend of the opposite sex
Yeah,
are going to be like, "No, like I swear to God, it's nothing."
right.
But I think it gets a bad rap because a lot of the times it is something. Because when I think about like my marriage to my amazing husband, I do consider him to be my best friend.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
there is such a foundation of friendship in any healthy, loving partnership. And so I think it is just so natural for people to be such close friends. And if there is any hint of any sort of physical attraction, I
Sure.
think it can just like spark just like that. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's a romantic relationship. And so I think it's like such a slippery slope.
It's a very fine line, I think, because there are
Yeah.
also a lot of people like I love like personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I have a similar personality to somebody, I just cling on to that. And it's not even romantic, but it's like you cling on to that. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that is the same for a lot of people, but then they also end up having an attraction to them because they do have that similar personality, but maybe there's also that little bit of like physical
Yeah.
attraction. So maybe that's like, I don't know.
And I think a lot of it probably comes from how secure you are too,
Yeah,
and what work you've put into your own personal like therapy journey, for lack of a better word.
sure.
But like how much like self-awareness you have and self-reflection you've done. Because I think for some people, it is really easy to like cling on to that and like need it for validation. Like you become like
Yeah,
dependent on it.
sure. And they
And
mistake that maybe for
yes,
like
for like
attraction.
romance and like
Yeah.
and like attraction. Yeah, I think it can kind of like be false almost, like a false love. I don't know how to like explain it because I am just like again like completely speculating.
Yeah, maybe you were just in a place where you needed those things, but it's not necessarily the right thing for you.
Yeah.
But just in that moment, you needed that validation, you needed someone to have that similarity to you, and you found that like attractive.
Yeah, and you almost like put it on the wrong person.
Yes.
Because I would say, like, for a lot of people, they probably end up regretting
Oh,
like
yeah.
crossing that line because once you do, like, you can't revert back to that friendship that you
Mm-mm.
had. And so they probably end up regretting it, which is
Yeah.
really sad because, like, true friends are few and far between.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's a hot commodity. In this economy,
In this
we
economy, not
we
many people
can't
have
be
true friendships.
we can't be losing true friends. And so I think that can just accidentally kind of like turn into something that people don't intend. I don't
So,
know.
another way of, I guess, asking this question, do you feel like books like this, and I know we've asked this before, do you still feel like books like this encourage people who maybe have those types of friendships to like pursue a romantic
Like
relationship?
act on it.
Because like this is fiction. This
Yeah.
does not happen in everyday life. But I feel like the more and more you read about stuff like this, the more you realize, like, maybe that's my situation,
But the thing
and maybe
is,
it's not.
the thing is, maybe it's not because
It's maybe not that situation.
if you are best friends with someone, maybe it's because they see you as a friend.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
so I feel like sometimes books like these, they're not dangerous, isn't the word, but I feel like it encourages people to be like, yeah, let me shoot my shot with my best friend. And it's like, no, Queen, maybe that's not the right choice.
Do you remember that TikTok trend that was like uh
Kissing your best friend?
kissing your best friend to that
Yes.
song? Yes.
Yes.
And some of them I hope to God they were all staged because some of them were so cringy. And
Yeah.
like the way they reacted was so like appalled because the thing is like this book, like you said, it's fiction. It is a fantasy. This and it's the same as like any book we read, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's a fantasy. And that is perfectly okay to indulge in.
Oh yeah, because it's not real.
It's not
These are
real
fake
and
scenarios.
it's not hurting anybody.
It's for your reading pleasure.
But you know what might hurt someone in real life is you being crazy
I
out of
just
nowhere.
Oh my God, I don't even know what I would do if someone that I considered like a close friend was like, "Hey, I feel like we're on the same page here,
Mm-mm.
and I think we should take this to the next level." And it's like, "Whoa,
That would be so
what
jarring.
vibes am I putting off?"
Yeah, because it would be like you would almost start to feel like, "Oh, what did I do wrong?"
Exactly.
You know, this is something that like is like tangentially related because when my husband and I like first started dating, we were like in high school. We were young, like freshman and sophomore in high school. And he had a best friend who was a girl. And
Hmm.
I always got the vibe personally, me personally,
Personally,
I got the vibe that she had feelings for him beyond friendship. And I could be, maybe, you know what? Maybe I was just being jealous. Maybe I was just being
yeah.
ridiculous. I don't know. But there was one day that he was like, yeah, I'm out at lunch with so and so. And like they went basically like they went around town to get like a different type of food at like a bunch of different restaurants. Like they made a cute little like around the world type lunch situation. And I was like, "Oh my God, that sounds really cute."
That's
And
a fun date.
That's a fun date idea.
I remember like it was yesterday when this happened.
And so I had to like sit down with him and be like, again, we had not been dating long and we were so young and he was my first boyfriend ever. And so I felt really uncomfortable bringing this up, but I was like, hey, that day that you did that, it felt like you were going on a date with another girl. Like that's what it felt like.
You
And so
were Brian in that moment.
I was Brian. I was like, hey, I just want to like put out some feelers. But you know what? When I put out those feelers, here's what happened. He said, "Oh, I didn't realize," and then he never did it again.
They don't even talk to each other.
They don't even talk to each other anymore. And he pretty quickly was like, based on the way you interpreted that, I'm going to take a step back from that because
The thing about her husband is that everybody is so drawn to him, and like this has been such a common
that actually did happen
issue.
too much.
Yeah, like it's happened more
And
times
poor
than
guy,
any.
he genuinely is
He is
just
a good friend to have.
he's such a good friend, and all of these friends just end up
Like this is
wanting more.
romantic.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what? Now that you say that, I'm like
Like it's
tallying on
happened a lot.
I'm tallying on my hand and I'm like, yeah, I can count at least 4.
Yeah, so Cole's a really good example of this question is that no, sometimes it truly is not romantic, and you do lose those friendships.
And you do lose those friendships because when they said those things to him, it made him very uncomfortable and he was like, I actually have the love of my life right here and you know that. And you're telling me these things anyway, even though
And
I have the
that's
love of my life
crazy.
right here. And so I'm not going to be your friend anymore. And so let that be a lesson to you all. And also, everyone be jealous of me for a moment because
Yeah, if everyone could just for 1 second.
I just have
I'm
the
like,
most
wow.
loyal man on the planet.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
If he
wow.
wanted to, he would.
If he wanted to, he would. Major flex. Love him so much. Heart, heart. Okay.
Does that answer the question though? Like, do you feel like I feel like in a
Hold
roundabout
on.
way,
Okay.
we did answer this.
No, let me be direct.
Okay. Let me be
My
clear.
Let me be so clear. My thoughts and feelings towards male and female friendships is like, absolutely, it can
Yeah,
be fine. And I can think of a lot of instances where it can be fine and great and
of course.
healthy. But for it to be fine and great and healthy, what needs to happen is both parties need to only have platonic feelings towards each other. And that's it.
And I think it's very important that boundaries are set as well.
Yeah.
Because if you are, I feel like the second you like have a lot of like physical like touch and stuff like that, like I feel like that could probably be confusing for half the party. And it's like I think that's where the miscommunication is. Like you
Yeah.
start to like cross boundaries into like what a relationship would have. I think, yeah, you just need to set really good boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah. There need
Yeah,
to be boundaries. There needs to be like honest and open communication because
absolutely.
if one side starts to feel that way, like you're probably like, the thing is, I think it is better to just be honest because it's better than just like pretending that it's not weighing on you. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
like not healthy either. You shouldn't keep that in.
Yeah, because then maybe you shouldn't be friends anymore. If
Right.
one of you has romantic feelings for the other and the other does
And
not,
it's
like,
not reciprocated.
yeah, maybe that's just not a healthy friendship to have anymore. And that's okay. That's not like, I know it might feel like the end of the world to some people, but like in that case, that's just not meant to be your friend.
No.
If you're having like romantic
Like
like
it sounds like you're
feelings toward
ready to
them,
find like a partner and
and that's not that person.
it's not them.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe I guess you could hold out and like and
Maybe
try to like date people, but that seems like it's running the risk
I
of
think you should
things blowing up
be
in your face.
honest with yourself and like admitting that is okay. But if they're like it's not reciprocated, you also have to be willing to accept that as well.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's
Yeah. You
like
just need to be open to rejection.
I saw this TikTok and it could have been edited in a way that made the guy look really bad. But it was like they had like two friends sit down. It was a
Was
guy
it the
and a
one you
girl.
sent to me?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yesterday?
Where he adds on the little
Yes, yes,
surprise
yes,
at the end?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. So I think maybe it was just edited to make him look bad. I'm not sure. But basically, this guy was like, yeah, I do have feelings for you. I do have a crush on you. And she basically like shut it down immediately. She was like, oh, I do not feel that way
Not
about
the
you.
same.
Yeah. And then it's like he kind of doubled down. He was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how attractive do you find me? And she was like, oh,
Like, I don't want to hurt
I,
your
yeah,
feelings.
she basically like shut it down again. And then he was like, yeah, I do really love going down on women.
I find it very romantic.
Yeah, and so I was like, this has to be edited because there is no fucking way this man is tripling down on this right now. But maybe
But
he
he
was.
did. But he
Maybe,
did.
but like,
Maybe.
I really hope it was
Allegedly.
just allegedly.
So yeah, if you find yourself developing feelings for your best friend, you should be honest, but also be ready for that to not be reciprocated. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, is the moral of the story there. And
yes.
also, men and women can be friends
Mm-hmm.
in conclusion.
They absolutely can be. It's just the thing, like
I just feel like there's a whole lot of books about
it has to
them
be
falling
honest
in
and
love.
yeah, no, and because again, it's a fantasy.
Hmm.
And it's a good fantasy. It's a sweet one. You just need to be honest. You need to be genuine and no funny business.
No funny business.
And no hurting anyone's partners.
Yeah,
That's what needs
also,
to happen.
if they're in a relationship, be so fucking cruel to yourself. Do not expect them to leave their partner.
Yeah.
Sweet. I think that answers it.
Yeah, I think so too. Holy
Awesome.
cow. That's
Well, that
the
is
Kane
the
brothers.
Kane Brothers series, guys. We made it. So
Cute
join us
books.
next week. We're gonna do Goodreads bad reviews for the Kane Brothers. I feel like I can just smell the reviews from here.
Same. I
I
know they're going to be hilarious.
I already know they're gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm excited. You guys, that'll be a good one. The week after that will actually be an off week because guess what? Tabby and I are going to be vacationing
That's
together. It'll
right.
be a little staycation. Also,
That's
we're going to
right.
go to a book signing event hosted by Tessa Bailey.
Check your if you're in the Kentucky area, check your locations of local bookstores because she will be bopping around to a few different places.
A few
So
different places. Yeah, go to her Instagram if you're interested. She's got her little book signing tour schedule on there or her website, I'm sure.
yeah.
But yes, we will actually be back on July 22nd to discuss The Ritual by Chantal Tessier. And be sure before starting this
Y'all.
one to check your trigger warnings because this is a darker romance. It's got
Yes.
dark themes. So please
It's
be
yeah,
responsible.
secret society. There's just a lot of trigger warnings. So
Yeah.
if you feel like at any point that will bother you, please do not read this book.
Yeah, because guess what? We'll be putting out plenty of other content throughout the year.
Yes.
So go ahead, get started on that book if you haven't already. We'll talk to you next time. And as always,
Let's get lit.